Hello and thank you for joining us in the WVLT newsroom. I'm Harry Sullivan with Casey Wheelis as we're getting ready to take you into the memorial service for Loudon County Sergeant Chris Jenkins, who died last week performing his duties, died in the line of duty trying to protect drivers out on I-75.
Yeah, he was picking up a ladder that had fallen into the road when he was hit by a tractor trailer. Today, hundreds of people from all over the country, law enforcement, even strangers here in East Tennessee to honor Sergeant Chris Jenkins. The memorial for him has been growing since it started about a week ago to the day. Now, we are along the line of the procession where people are invited to be out today and pay their respects to the sergeant. We'll also take you inside to the ceremony where there are several different moments of honor scheduled for him today.
Yeah, a lot of things on tap, especially with that procession. The North Carolina Troopers Association, their caisson unit will be there, as well as numerous different teams of canine officers. Obviously, Sergeant Jenkins was a canine officer with Loudon County. His dog Deja will be there as well. You're taking a little live look right now into the service before it gets underway. And the casket of Sergeant Jenkins already inside at Loudon High School.
And Harry, we followed along the procession of taking his body from the Knox County Forensic Center all the way to Loudon County to the funeral home late last week, and there were hundreds and hundreds of police cars and law enforcement officers who wanted to be a part of that procession. I can only imagine now, almost a week later, just how many people are out here today to say thank you to this sergeant who gave his life protecting others.
Definitely, and we even heard from officers from Houston, Texas, from all over the country, who not only just came because a fellow brother had fallen, but because they actually knew Sergeant Chris Jenkins in his time just serving with other law enforcement officers in numerous tasks and becoming friends with them, becoming brothers with them. Them coming and saying they wish they would have taken him up on his offer to come to East Tennessee, see Loudon County, and see what he called home. We do have multiple crews out and about this afternoon, and we do want to start with our own Ashley Boley, who is out on the parade route getting ready to start. And Ashley, we'll start with you. What's the scene like where you are this afternoon?
Hey, Harry, right now, we've got a lot of car traffic coming in. We think they're headed to the high school, actually, because we're here on this Veterans Bridge, stationed right in between Loudon High School as well as the sheriff's office. So we're in a nice spot, hoping that a lot of people show up just to come out and show their support for him. We see a few people, wearing and carrying back the blue flags as well as apparel. Just different people coming out of their businesses nearby, getting ready, getting prepared to come out and kind of show their respects during this really somber time in this community. But like you mentioned, not just in this community, but all of East Tennessee and really nationwide, people coming out to pay their respects. A lot of car traffic going into the city, trying to get outside of the high school, and even some headed towards the sheriff's office. So far, I've already seen sheriff's office cars from Blount County, Loudon County, of course, Roane and Sullivan County. That was just passing them on our way here and getting to this area. We just had some motorcycles pass by us. We've got a lot of people coming into town ready to show their support. So we'll keep you posted with what we're seeing and hearing and feeling out here as this gets underway. Harry and Casey.
All right, Ashley Boley reporting for us there live. And of course, Ashley is along part of the procession route that will take place as this ceremony here ends today. And that is scheduled to start around 1 o'clock. Now, one of the really popular places in Loudon County this week has been the Justice Center, where Sergeant Jenkins' cruiser is placed, and there people have been able to come by and pay their respects. And this is his K9 cruiser that they put out there since the accident happened about a week ago. Jared Austin, our reporter, has been out there really multiple times throughout the week. And Jared, tell us what you're seeing out there. I know right now they're asking people to avoid this specific area because it is part of the procession, but what are you seeing out there this morning?
Well, Casey, good morning. And really, we're just seeing this memorial here grow outside of Sergeant Jenkins' cruiser here. We'll kind of zoom in here. We can see just some of those wreaths to the left. We can see that there's still a blue line American flag there. Plenty of flowers, stuffed animals, signs thanking Sergeant Jenkins for his service. I mean, this memorial has continued to grow really since we were out here on Friday, but we're actually going to turn you around here and just show you the American flag over Highway 11 here. That's from the Greenback Fire Department. They had one out here when Sergeant Jenkins' body came back here late last week, and they continue to have their American flag out here over Highway 11, where you expect to see Sergeant Jenkins' body coming back this way. Now, when Sergeant Jenkins does come back this way, we're actually going to show you the caisson unit that is going to be taking him from the Justice Center to the gravesite. You can kind of see this area here. You can see the 4 horses there and the carriage right there to the left. We'll kind of get a little closer to the carriage here. Basically, what they'll do is they'll bring Sergeant Jenkins' body here in the coffin. They'll place the coffin on the carriage, and then these 4 horses will help bring Sergeant Jenkins to the gravesite. Now, we talked to the person who helps with these horses. They say they do this quite a bit. They've done this 11 times last year, so this is not the first time they've done this, but really, when they put the sergeant's body on this carriage here, they say really it just seems like time stands still. It's just a great moment to pay honor to this sergeant. But again, after the funeral service, they'll be bringing Sergeant Jenkins here. These 4 horses will transport him to the gravesite through that carriage. Harry, Casey.
All right, Jared Austin reporting for us live there from the Justice Center. We appreciate that update. We want to take you back out now to take another look at that ceremony where the services are scheduled to begin just about 20 minutes. And we will, of course, stream that live for you when that ceremony gets underway. We also have been able to talk to people throughout the week who knew Sergeant Jenkins well and the impact that he had on this East Tennessee community. Take a listen to our Gwendolyn Decree and who she got to speak to earlier this week.
We're learning more about who Sergeant Jenkins was, and he was a popular guy. Everyone seemed to have known him, including the young faces he and his K-9 would visit at surrounding schools. He was a father, leaving behind a daughter and a son who was also a deputy with Loudon County. He started working with the sheriff's office 2 decades ago after serving in the military. Not even a full half hour into Loudon County, city police stopping us to say how loved he was, and they were neighbors and they grew up together. They were also all impressed with his K-9 work. No one who knew Jenkins seems to be okay from this loss, a speechless sheriff and mayor included.
It's something that nobody ever wants to go through. I'd rather not talk.
It's tragic. It's the only word I can really use to explain it. And, we're not supposed to ask why, but sometimes, you have to wonder.
For now, reporting in Loudon County, Gwendolyn Dupree, WVLT News.
So community here coming together, trying to heal from this horrible tragedy. It's been less than a week that this happened since he was hit and killed on I-75. It was a messy morning. Community was dispatched out to clear a ladder off I-75 to make sure no one else got hurt. He was protecting others when he died.
Now, as for the memorial service, this will take place, like Casey said, around 1 o'clock is what we're hearing when this will get underway. Following this service, they will then take his casket down Highway 11 towards the Loudon County Justice Center. That's where they will do the switch with the caisson unit with the North Carolina Troopers Association, where they will put his body in the casket on that horse-drawn carriage, taking him the rest of the way to the Memorial Gardens in Lenoir City. There will be K-9 units there on the side of the road showing respect, as well as the horse-drawn carriages. A lot of different events happening as well at Memorial Gardens, including a 21-gun salute from the Metro Nashville Police Department, taps, pipes, and drums with deputies out of Shelby County, flyovers with KCSO, Lifestar, THP. They said at least 7 different agencies are coming together with that flyover, and so many different organizations from all across East Tennessee and all across the country, in the state as well, with Shelby County coming in from Memphis, and of course Metro Nashville PD doing the 21-gun salute. So just showing how much these different organizations care and back each other. All the brothers in blue, brothers and sisters in blue out and about today. There's going to be a lot of different cruisers out that you'll see. They'll be leading the procession, all of the cruisers from out of town, followed by Loudon County once they leave Loudon High School.
And he was a K-9 officer. He was just promoted to sergeant last year, so he served in that role for just about a year. His K-9 Deja will spend a special moment with him at some point today as he is laid to rest. And Harry, you talked about all the support from law enforcement all over. There were more than 300 police cruisers that were involved in the procession, or escort rather, taking him from the Knox County Forensic Center all the way to Loudon County last week. So there are hundreds and hundreds, even in the thousands possibly, law enforcement officers that are here. Even last night, there was a service, a private service for family, friends, and law enforcement. They said that some waited over an hour to get inside because they wanted to make sure that they were able to pay their respects. And not only just shows you how close this community is, but just how close the law enforcement community is. So many, so emotional about this because it hits too close to home, just how dangerous their day-to-day duties are.
Yeah, it's incredibly dangerous, obviously, everything they have to do. And of course, Sergeant Jenkins doing what he does to protect people. You know, it's just a normal day that he was out trying to help keep East Tennesseans safe on I-75 when that tragic incident occurred.
And what you're looking at now is a setup for those of you just joining us. We are about 15 minutes away from this memorial service to begin, to start for Sergeant Chris Jenkins. There will be several speakers at this service, as well as several tributes taking place. We hope to hear from those closest to him, including family members this afternoon. This is at the Loudon High School gym, where he spent a lot of time growing up in East Tennessee, and also then helping talk to classrooms and educate students here in East Tennessee about his job with the Loudon County Sheriff's Department and what he did on a day-to-day basis. He not only served and protected so many people, but he also was heavily involved in his community, which is why this is such a tragedy for everyone here in East Tennessee.
As far as some of the speakers that we'll hear in just a couple of minutes, his son, who is a deputy with the Loudon County Sheriff's Department, Clay Jenkins, we'll hear from him, as well as Governor Bill Lee, and especially Sheriff Tim Guider. We heard from Sheriff Guider at the press conference on the day that Sergeant Jenkins was killed, and just how emotional he was. So we asked if he had a few words to say. He did, and he broke down. He wasn't one of the main speakers in that press conference, but he was just not able to even continue on that day. We will hear from Sheriff Tim Guider coming up a little later on today.
And we've heard too from sheriffs from all over the area, from where you mentioned there, and then also where you mentioned Knox County, also heavily involved in this tribute, in this memorial today, and even Sheriff Spangler getting very emotional when we interviewed him about this, because again, it is such a very close to home subject for so many of these officers and so many of their family members who know what goes on a day-to-day basis. I want to take you out here to show you that memorial out at the Justice Center. This is what it looks like just a couple of days after this tragedy happened. Now today they are asking you to stay away from this area because it is part of the procession, but it just shows you the support of just complete strangers even coming out here, laying bouquets of flowers, flags, just notes, anything to just say thank you to this officer. This is out at the Justice Center. That is his cruiser that he was driving the day that this tragedy happened.
And to just put it into perspective of what he meant to the community, this is a look at what that procession looked like just a couple of days ago when they took his body back to Loudon County. So many different organizations showing up, so many different law enforcement community members and friends, and people all across the area lining the highway. And this was just, later on that evening. So I can't even imagine what we're going to see later on this afternoon. Obviously, simply hundreds of people in law enforcement coming from around the state, around the nation. That's just what we're expecting from law enforcement. So we do expect a lot of people to be out there. Keep that in mind as well. If you are going to be traveling through the area and on Highway 11, police will have that shut down, as well as the entire area around Loudon County High School.
And also, Buddy Bradshaw, the mayor there, knew Sergeant Jenkins and has spoken a lot about his character and who he was. So take a listen to what he had to say.
If you couldn't get along with Chris, you couldn't get along with anybody. A family man, he's, of course, leaves behind us 2 kids, and he was just a great guy. He was a great officer. You never heard anybody say anything cross about him. He was just that kind of a person.
And that's what everyone has said about him. Everyone that knew him said that he was great to be around. He always had a positive attitude, and he was just a really huge force in this community. And so it is about 12:50 right now. We are about 10 minutes away from those memorial services about to begin here at the Loudon High School. You're taking a live look now. Hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement personnel from all over the country expected to be here today to pay tribute to Sergeant Chris Jenkins.
And we do have multiple crews out and about all across Loudon County. We'll hear from more of them coming up a little later on, especially when that procession gets underway, and that'll be immediately following this memorial service that we do expect to get going in the next 10 minutes or so. We do want to send things back out to our own Ashley Boley, who is live for us. We'll get out to her coming up in just a second. Ashley, you've been out there all morning long, and you've really been covering this story all week long. What's the latest on the scene that you're seeing there in Loudon County? We'll get back out to Ashley in just a bit, little audio issues there. But one of the things that we've seen from the people from all around is just how much they knew Sergeant Jenkins, how well they knew. That was pretty remarkable to see and hear from people from Houston, from Atlanta, different areas of the state, different areas of the country that are all coming back in. Pretty remarkable to hear that. And one of the things we saw is a kid who does this whenever there's a fallen soldier, a fallen deputy, a fallen police officer. It's called Running for Heroes. He gets out and runs and raises money. Our Jared Austin got to talk to him. Just take a listen.
With the Blue Line American flag in hand and a Florida first responder behind him, Zachariah Cartledge runs for fallen deputy Sergeant Jenkins.
I've always loved running, and I always like keeping in shape. So I just thought, I started doing this, I can start doing my running as a purpose, and it'll also keep me fit.
Since Cartledge started this nonprofit back in 2019, he's run over 1,100 miles for the same amount of first responders who died while on duty, all while at his old elementary school. The 13-year-old taking it beyond the track and raising money for Sergeant Jenkins as well.
We plan to raise $10,000, but it seems to be a trend how we raise a lot more than $10,000, which is a great thing.
Sergeant Jenkins was retrieving a ladder on I-75 when he was hit and killed by a tractor trailer. Cartledge is hopeful his run can bring more awareness on the roads.
What I want people to get off this run is to make sure you pay attention on the roads, because it can affect not only police officers and firefighters, but anybody that's on the roads.
Cartledge did reach out to the family about the run and doing a fundraiser for them. He says when speaking with the family, they weren't excited about the reason behind the run, but happy Sergeant Jenkins continues to get recognition.
I think overall it'll assure them that their first responder will not be forgotten.
Multiple runs for multiple first responders happen on a weekly basis for Cartledge.
These families need it, and the department needs it as well.
And with each step, he's driven to make every run as strong as the first.
If you are part of the family, we'll be sending this Blue Line flag tonight in your Heroes Honor very soon.
Jared Austin, WVLT News.
So that is just one example of so many people here in the East Tennessee community that's out here just showing their support, even people that don't even know Sergeant Jenkins wanting to say thank you. Now, after this memorial service, which we hear is expected to last about an hour and a half, there will be a procession where community members have been invited to line Highway 11 as well as the Lee Highway Bridge over the Tennessee River, taking you into Sergeant Jenkins' final resting place. We do want to get back out to our Ashley Boley, who is keeping an eye on that. And Ashley, as you came into town, did you see people lining up already?
You know, we are starting to see that now. I'm actually going to walk you from around the bridge over there where you can start to see some of these people over this way, and hopefully I can get out of the way a little bit. But you can see that here behind me, you've got a back the blue flag. You've got some families showing up, some kids coming out. I saw a couple of them making signs. I actually just spoke with one woman and her granddaughter, who she said her father, the granddaughter's father, is a Lenoir City police officer, and they wanted to come out and show support today. So we're starting to see more and more people come out. We've got American flags out here. We've got quite a big presence starting to emerge just slowly, just since, like you guys have been saying, the memorial service will begin at 1 o'clock today. So we're, I think, waiting for that to end, and then maybe more people will be coming this way, since we're in a nice in-between Loudon High School as well as the Loudon County Sheriff's Office. So we know that hopefully more people will be coming out, lining this bridge, showing their support as well, but just waiting for more people to get here right now.
All right, Ashley Boley reporting for us live in Loudon County. Ashley, thank you for that update. And of course, she will be there as well after this memorial service, where we will be able to take you through the different procession parts as he leaves the high school and is escorted then to the Memorial Gardens graveside service location.
So leaving Lenoir City, or Loudon High School, then going to Lenoir City, where that Memorial Gardens is. Now, one of the things they will be doing, we talked a little bit earlier about, is going to the Justice Center in Loudon County. They'll have some more things happening there with the North Carolina Troopers Association Caisson unit, as well as numerous K-9 officers will be there as well. You are taking a live look into that memorial service for Sergeant Chris Jenkins, which we do expect to get underway within the next 10 minutes or so, scheduled to start just around 1 o'clock. We have our Ashley Boley out live, our Jared Austin. We'll have Gwendolyn Dupree as well as our WVLT News drone, trying to give you all the angles once this procession gets underway following the memorial service.
And just a little bit about Sergeant Chris Jenkins and what we have been able to gather from his co-workers at the department, as well as people in the community. I mean, he not only was an officer, was a sergeant, but he also was heavily involved in this community. This was his home. He is a father, a devoted father, a brother as well. We've shown you how actually his daughter Chloe was able to ride one of the horses that will be escorting his casket to the Memorial Gardens. So it was a very powerful moment there for his family, who is going through the unimaginable right now and receiving so much support from the community. He started back at the department back in the early 2000s. He worked his way up. He was a patrol officer, then a K-9 officer. Just within the last year or so, he was promoted to sergeant. He also has family members within the department as well. So for him, this was his life, and this is what he loved doing, protecting others and protecting this small community that really, if you're familiar with East Tennessee, you know how close-knit these communities are and how they come together when tragedy hits. So what you're looking at now is a live look inside Loudon County High School gym there, where this memorial service is taking place. This is a private service for friends, family members, those who knew Sergeant Chris Jenkins, as well as law enforcement from around the country. They invited the public to line Highway 11 right there, where you just saw Ashley Boley on the Lee Highway Bridge that goes over the Tennessee River, Mulberry Street, to show their respect as this procession goes through. And Harry, you know, last Friday when his body was escorted from Knox County to Loudon County, the show of support was immense. You saw over 300 police cruisers coming through on the interstate, and it was like time stood still, because as those hundreds of cars came through, the other side of traffic stopped moving.
Yeah.
And they did that out of a show of respect. First responders were out there. This was in Loudon, right near the funeral home, where they all piled in, where they then took him inside. And it was incredible to see the impact that he has had on this community, and just how much they wanted to say thank you to this sergeant.
Yeah, and it's incredible, and that's a look at the memorial setup at the Loudon County Justice Center and how much that's grown really just hour by hour over the last couple of days since Sergeant Jenkins died. Just incredible to see the show of support from the community that was out there on that day that his body was taken back to Loudon County. Now, as far as we are concerned with the Memorial Gardens and everything that's going to go on there, more agencies from across the state coming together. 21 gun salute from Metro Nashville PD, taps, pipes, and drums, all from Shelby County, and as well as flyovers from KCSO, Lifestar, THP, numerous different organizations coming together to show their support for Sergeant Jenkins' family, as well as the entire Loudon County community, and especially the Loudon County Sheriff's Office.
And part of the services today, we are expecting to hear from his son Clay, who is a current Loudon County deputy. He will be speaking, talking about his father, who was also someone that he looked up to throughout his life, and then also into his professional life as well. So he is going to be one of many speakers from the department here, as we are going to take you live to this memorial service as soon as it begins. But you can see right now they are still preparing for that, and this is a private service. They have asked the public to line Mulberry Street, Highway 11, and the area of downtown Loudon as this procession goes through afterwards, as a way of saying or paying their respects.
This service we expect to last about an hour or so, hour and a half, and immediately following that is when our coverage will continue. We'll bring you the service here, and we'll get back on to bring you the rest when they take his body, his casket, and all the troopers and everyone following along, going to Memorial Gardens for that to continue this celebration of life for Sergeant Chris Jenkins. And we do want to let you listen in again, just from some of his friends, from some of his co-workers, people that knew him best, and some folks in the community about what Sergeant Jenkins meant to them personally, as well as everyone across East Tennessee.
We're learning more about who Sergeant Jenkins was, and he was a popular guy. Everyone seemed to have known him, including the young faces he and his K-9 would visit at surrounding schools. He was a father, leaving behind a daughter and a son who was also a deputy with Loudon County. He started working with the sheriff's office 2 decades ago after serving in the military. Not even a full half hour into Loudon County, city police stopping us to say how loved he was, and they were neighbors and they grew up together. They were also all impressed with his K-9 work. No one who knew Jenkins seems to be okay from this loss, a speechless sheriff and mayor included.
It's something that nobody ever wants to go through. I'd rather not talk.
It's tragic. It's the only word I can really use to explain it. And, we're not supposed to ask why, but sometimes, you have to wonder.
For now, reporting in Loudon County, Gwendolyn Dupree, WVLT News.
And it's just gut-wrenching to hear from Sheriff Tim Guider there, who he showed up to that news conference when they announced the death of of Sergeant Jenkins. And just to hear him in the background, we asked him a couple of questions, and he said he couldn't even talk. That's how distraught he was.
Well, when you're in law enforcement, you're family, and you can see that. You're even family with the strangers from the department on the other side of the country. And that is exactly what we're seeing today, is people from all over the country, law enforcement officers from everywhere, are here in East Tennessee to support the Loudon County Sheriff's Office and to honor Sergeant Chris Jenkins for his service to the community here in Loudon County. Now, we are waiting on this memorial to start. As soon as it does, we will take it to you live, and then we will come back on here to take you through the procession as well when that begins. And we're told that this ceremony should last at least an hour and a half. They have several people who want to speak on Sergeant Chris Jenkins' behalf and thank him for his service.
Yeah, one of those people that you will hear talk, his son, who works for the Loudon County Sheriff's Office, his son, Deputy Clay Jenkins, will speak as well. It looks like things are about to get underway. We're going to go ahead and take you live inside the Loudon High School gym. Sergeant Chris Jenkins.
seems like that. I bet you're up there right now, making plans and writing out all your favorite places that you just can't wait to take us, and we'll get to spend forever talking about whatever. When I get there, promise you'll track me down and show me around. I heard that there's no growing old, and now you only walk down streets of gold. I've only read about what you've seen, what you know, and I'm still here missing you. Oh, I wonder what you're getting into. I bet you're up there right now, making plans and writing out all your favorite places that you just can't wait to take us, and we'll get to spend forever talking about whatever. When I get there, promise you'll track me down and show me around. I hate how much that losing you hurts. I hope you know you left your mark on this world, and I swear that I'd give anything on this earth to see your face, but for now I'll wait. I bet you're up there right now, making plans and writing out all your favorite places that you just can't wait to take us, and we'll get to spend forever talking about whatever. When I get there, promise you'll track me down and show me around. And show me I heard you got a brand new place.
It is my greatest honor to speak on behalf of Ms. Faye, Clay, Chloe, and Missy, and relate to you the deep and indescribable gratitude that the family of Sergeant Chris Jenkins has for your presence here today. The amount of support that has flooded this family in the most difficult of times has touched them in a way that only they truly understand. As this service begins, they ask that you take a glimpse into the life of the man whose life we celebrate and pay tribute to the service and sacrifice given by him in the performance of his duty to this community. At this time, I ask that you stand as Pastor Josh Gerritz comes forward to open this celebration of life in prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we come to you today humbly in need of a touch from heaven. And God, I thank you for heaven. I thank you for the hope that we have, Lord, to see Sergeant Chris once again. And I thank you, Lord, that you gave me the opportunity to get to know him just for a little while. Lord, as I think of heaven, I thank you for those streets of gold. those walls of jasper, the gates of pearl. But Lord, I thank you most that there's a Jesus up in heaven. And Lord, just a few short days ago, he stretched out his arm and welcomed Brother Chris home. And so, Lord, we thank you today for that. I thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. And God, I pray that you'd come down into this place. You would touch this dear family. Lord, you'd strengthen them, you'd help them. Lord, you'd uplift them, and you'd do a work that only you can do. I thank you for our law enforcement and for all that has gone into this. Lord, I thank you for this time we can celebrate a life that was lived in sacrifice, lived in duty. And Lord, I thank you just for this day and for what we are allowed to do today. Lord, I pray that we would do justice to this life that was lived. Lord, and once again, you touch this service. You would work in a mighty way. Help this family, the families of all these police officers, of all those that serve our community. God, that you would show up and you would help us today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
They're doing your service. They represent you. And Father, in the name of Jesus, I speak by the divine power of Almighty God that your protection and grace is upon them. Give them great wisdom. Give them the power and the authority of the Holy Ghost. And, oh Lord, guardian angels surrounding them.
I'm very proud, and my dad would be very proud of all of you guys. Thank you very much.
I have seen my last tomorrow. I am holding my last breath. Goodbye, sweet world of song. My new life begins with death. I am standing on the mountain. I can hear the angels' song. I am reaching over Jordan. Take my hand, Lord, lead me home.
Madam Speaker, I rise tonight with a heavy heart as the citizens of my district, and especially Loudon County, mourn the loss of Sergeant Chris Jenkins. He's a military veteran, a longtime member of the Loudon County Sheriff's Office. His life was cut way too short, but the impact he had on his community will live on long into the future. Sergeant Jenkins served with honor, proudly going to work every day in service to others and knowing that any day he could be asked to make the ultimate sacrifice.
I have prayed my final prayer. Don't you cry over my body, 'cause that ain't me lying there. No, I am standing on the mountain. I can hear the Take my hand, Lord, lead me home.
Please be seated. It is an honor to introduce our state's 50th governor, the Honorable Bill Lee. Governor Lee is no stranger to the men and women of law enforcement here today and around our state and even around our country, because he routinely makes it a point to show his strong support for our thin blue line. We are truly blessed to have a leader that loves his police officers. Today, he joins us here to honor one of our own, Governor Lee.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to every single person in this room who are all here together to honor a man who served every single person in this room. And to all of you who currently serve in law enforcement, a particular gratitude from me to you, not only for being here today, for their family, but for what you do for the people of this state. I was talking to some young people this morning who were in a civics club, and I said to them, you know, one of the challenges we have in this country is we grow up used to something that we trust exists all over the world, and it doesn't. And I said, it was fourth graders, and I said, when you grow up in an environment that you're used to, sometimes there's a phrase called taking it for granted. And we take for granted that we live in the greatest nation in the world. We take for granted that people have gone before us to create an environment. And we take for granted that men and women in law enforcement go out every single day, put their lives on the line, which is a much overused and underappreciated phrase, and they create the difference between chaos and order in society. And we take that for granted. But today we don't, because we're reminded that it comes at great sacrifice. And it comes with great service. And I am here because I want to honor the life of a man who represents that great sacrifice and that life of service that so many of you are accustomed to. Proud to be here, grateful to be here, sad to be here, but glad that I am here with you to honor this man's life. To his family, to Clay and Chloe, I remember telling my own kids when they lost their mom at a young age, what you are experiencing, very few people ever know. But what that means is that there are things that you will now know that very few people will ever know. And part of that is a deep understanding, a richness to life that can only come in circumstances like this. It's a bit of the redemptive nature of God. But it's brokenhearted at the moment. And my heart is with all of you in this family. I do say redemptive because I do believe that in a day in this country when we need to be reminded, we are reminded. And that is a redemption that this nation needs. And this man's life and his service is a part of that redemptive nature of what's happening today. May his nearness be a sweet thread in the bitter fabric of the days that you're walking in today. And be assured that there are people from one end of this state to the other, and frankly across the country, that pray for you, that hold you up, and that appreciate what you and Sergeant Jenkins has done for not only this community, but for this country. Thank you.
Chris Jenkins. There are no words adequate, no novelist so skilled to capture everything that made this man larger than life. And I can promise you, he would be with me. I can promise you, he would argue with me describing him that way. He'd laugh at me getting tongue-tied there too. I can only hope that me telling you a little bit about what he meant to me can give you a glimpse into how large a shoes he left to fill. Almost everything I'm about to tell you, describing how I saw him, if he was standing next to me, he'd be shaking his head no, telling me I'm trying to make him think he's crazy. It's just who he was. He had a way about him where he'd lift everyone up around him. Simply put, if you haven't caught on yet, he was the very best of us, and it wasn't even close. Now, don't get me wrong. He wasn't without finding himself in ridiculous situations or having pranks pulled on him, but I promise, if he hit something, he'd tell you. I can tell you personally that typically he'd find a way to blame me in those situations, whether I was even in Tennessee or not. As he'd say, it's Hatch's fault. I'd like to share the one prank that I had no hand in or any idea about. Now, to preface this, it's important to note Jenkins had a particular fear of mouses. I'm on the canine field doing obedience, have no idea what's going on, and Jenkins starts yelling at me from 100 yards away up by the cars. You think you're funny, Hatch? Go get it out. Now, I'm legitimately dumbfounded this time. So I tell him as much, and the whole time I'm explaining this, he just keeps repeating, you know what you did. We'll come to find out, another deputy in the crowd, who I won't name, had taken a mouse and put it in his car. So as I explained, he generally just blamed me when something didn't go right. I can tell you he would never describe himself as a leader. He'd try and tell you he's just doing what's right or that he's just doing his job. But if you need a visual representation of what lead from the front is, he was the bronze cast statue of it. There was no call too small, no job too menial. We had to fight him most of the time over who was going to get in the bite suit to work our dogs. He was always trying to take care of everyone around him. Our last Tuesday together, I told him I was going to Cass to get my hair cut. And he sat right there and told me, I'll probably go on Friday. And I'll be danged if he didn't beat me to the barber shop. At the time, I started messing with him, telling him he was just trying to get ahead of me in line. Looking back, I'm just grateful I got that extra time to spend with him. The next day, we did pass on at shift change, like we always do. He hugged me and told me to be careful. He treated and cared for me like he was my big brother I never had. He competed with me, he counseled me, he taught me, and he scolded me when I needed it. He and I put Mikey and Paul into dad mode so many times that both their heads are full of white hair now. He cared for those he loved in a way that couldn't be matched. Every single time I was sick or had something going on in my life, he would always call and check to see how I was doing, even when no one else did. When we hired Clay, Chris, he came to several of us, and he was apprehensive. But ultimately, he knew it was inevitable, because when you have this calling in life, who wouldn't want to be working side by side with their dad? Clay, Chloe, I know how much he loved you and how proud he was of you. It's comforting to me that at certain times, and when you guys say certain phrases, good Lord, you look and sound like your daddy. I just want to say how honored I am to be able to stand up here and be among the thousands that Jenkins had in his heart. To be able to tell you a little bit about what my friend meant to me. I've struggled, and I've been terrified that I'd be incapable of finding the words to even come close to matching how large he was in life. Chad's preaching last night put it in the best way imaginable. He just had a certain sound about him. For me, that sound was, "What's up, Hatch?" And I got to believe that when I meet him again, he'll be the first one at the gate to greet me, throw his arms around me, and I'll hear those words again. Miss Faye, Clay, Chloe, Missy, and Chrissy, I love you. Thank you.
I know your life on earth was trouble. Only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Go rest high on that mountain. Son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting before the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gather around hate to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. Go rest high on that mountain, son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven a shouting love for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven a shouting love for the Father and the Son.
I want to thank everyone for being here. Your presence here today is a true testament to what Chris meant to this community, and more importantly, who he was as a person. If there was ever anyone deserving of this magnitude of love and support, it was Chris Jenkins and his family. I had the pleasure of being Chris's supervisor for many years, and I will tell you, he tested that pleasure from time to time. On a few occasions, I would have an opportunity to ask him, Chris, how'd you get that dent in your car? And as Hatch stated, he would say in that voice, well, I don't know, Curtis. If I hit something, I'd tell you. I was blessed to have thousands of hours of companionship and friendship with Chris. He has enriched my life in so many ways, as he has for many of us in here today. On May 18th, 2007, Bob and I took Chris to the Atlanta airport to pick up his first soon-to-be canine, Diego. After getting Diego from the terminal, we drove down the road a little ways and stopped at a rest stop so we could get him out, let him stretch his legs. Bob was cutting the wire ties off the door to the gate. I was getting the leash so we could get him out of the crate. We turned our backs for a second, and here's where Chris enters the story. Without us looking, Chris opens the crate. Out goes the dog. Sounds normal. Not really a problem with that in most cases, except for a couple of things. Chris had known the dog for about 10 minutes. Secondly, at that time, his name wasn't Diego. So yelling Diego for him to come back didn't quite get the result that Chris was hoping for. At that moment, the term, "damn it, Jenkins," was solidified into LCSO culture. After getting Diego home, we let Chris and Diego spend a few days bonding with him, and then we started their 4-week handlers course that we promptly wrapped up in October of that year. In his first drug detection certification, seconds before Chris and Diego were to enter the building for the room search, part of that certification, he handed me Diego's leash, and he ran into the bathroom to throw up. As he took Diego's leash back, the judges called his number to run the exercise. He proceeded without missing a step. As we canine handlers do when we finish an exercise, like in that certification, we would ask the others that finished where they thought the hides were. And we would kid each other about how we were sorry they got it wrong. Chris came back and had a totally different result than anybody else there. I can remember telling him, "Don't worry about it. It's your first one. You'll do better next time." You see, this was not only an important certification that was required to deploy your canine for drug detection, it was also a competition. So the certifying officials didn't tell you how you did until everyone was done and the scores had been totaled. There were 25 or so of some of East Tennessee's finest canine teams there certifying and competing. Everyone there had more experience than Chris. Later that evening, they gave us the scores. Chris and Diego were the only team to find all the hides. Out of nowhere, not only did he pass the test, he won first place. He completed his certification better than anyone, me included. A couple of days later, only as Jenkins can do, he came to me with that smile. He hugged me around the neck, and he said, "I know it wasn't your first one, but don't worry, you'll do better next time." I tell you that story because it brings back cherished memories and reminds me of the qualities of Chris as a person. What should have been a 240-hour handler's course turned out to be a 720-hour handler's course. As we worked through adversity and seemingly endless challenges during his first days as a canine handler, Chris never wavered. He never flinched. He never lost his desire or his conviction to accomplish his goals. Chris met every challenge that came before him. He may have created a few of them. As we worked through the training days, I came to admire him more and more. I started that course thinking I was going to teach old Chris a few things. It turned out to be the other way around. As Chris went through his career, he racked up many accomplishments, including a promotion to sergeant. Sergeant Chris Jenkins was a leader of men with boots on the ground, solving the problems of his community every day. Making sergeant was another validation of a good man that loved his community and his brothers and sister in blue. As Chris worked his way up the rank from corrections officer to patrol deputy to corporal to sergeant, his actions never changed. His response and his loyalty to his co-workers was exactly the same. He embraced this community the same way. You got the same Chris Jenkins the first time you met him as you did the 100th time you saw him. Chris treated everyone with the same respect and courtesy, no matter their age, race, or social standing. He never had to be told to do any of those things. That's just who he was. What you saw was what you got with Chris. His co-workers and the members of this community loved that about him and found comfort in his genuine nature. If you wear a badge today or plan on wearing one tomorrow, by all means, be the person that is diligent in sharpening your skill. Be the one that strives to perfect your tactics. Be the officer that works to heighten your knowledge of your profession. Those are things we should all do. But if you want to be a true pillar of your community and the greatest asset to your family, your co-workers, and the members of your community, be a Chris Jenkins. I know Chris is in heaven watching over us now. He passed his greatest certification, and he won the race to see Jason. I imagine he has that smile with his arm around Jason's neck and saying, "Don't worry, Curtis. You'll do better next time."
Been thinking back, and I can't remember my life without Chris Jenkins in it. As far back as probably walking, and I'm resting assured that the love that we've spoke about, the love that everybody has felt, that I've had that love from Chris Jenkins. I'll take you back to a summer, 1980 something. It's back before cell phones and all that stuff. So we're on the phone, and back then the big thing was Loudon swimming pool. So he wants me to go to the pool with him. Well, Chris, I can probably ride my bicycle down there. Just hang on, I'll come and get you. Okay. Everybody knows I live out the Piney Rutan Club, out that area back then. He lived on Hufflin Drive, right here at the pool. How you gonna get me, Chris? I'll get there. Okay. So he hung the phone up. Time goes by, and I can remember thinking, his mama, she might be at work, or she could be on midnight shift. She might be asleep. I bet he's going to take her car, because that wouldn't have been out of the ordinary. So, anyway, I'm waiting, and I hear something. It sounds like somebody cutting wood. chainsaw. It kept getting closer. I lived on Woodland Drive, and it was a big hill. You come up and down. I'll never will forget seeing him come across that hill on a dirt bike. So I jump on the back with him. Here we come back to town. Well, we get to the swimming pool, and we come in this back way right here off Sticky. He goes across a waterway or something. By then, everybody that was at the pool, they knew we was coming. They knew something was coming. Well, we jumped that thing, and he's telling me, lean, lean, lean. Well, I'm leaning, but I'm leaning the wrong way. Yeah, that's right. We hit a tree right behind the swimming pool, one of the maple trees. There we lay, and everybody at the pool standing up there watching us. And I believe that opened Pandora's box, because we've pretty much wrecked everything we've ever been in. But anyway, that's how he loved. He loved me that much that he wanted me to be with him. He loved these guys. He loves you. And if you know him, you've heard it before today, yesterday. Chris Jenkins loved. He loved everybody.
Well, I'm going to tell you how he loved you all. Okay? Now, I didn't realize this till I was leaving Mama Faye's house the other day and talking to Clay. Now, Chris, you know, you go through school, you get a job, you get a family. You don't see people anymore. You know, everybody does it. But over the years, you know, I got to talking, you know, we pass him, talk to him, and Chris always told me he loved me. It was a 5-minute phone call. He told me he loved me. Well, when I was leaving Faye's the other day, I got to talking to Clay, and it dawned on me, you know, I didn't watch Clay grow up. I wasn't around. Clay started driving and this, that, and the other. Started seeing Clay, you know. Well, I coached Clay's little brother in football, so I see him at the ball field a lot. Clay talked to you, and he looks at you like Chris did, you know. Chris talked with his eyes and listened with his eyes, you know. And Clay does the same thing. Clay puts your arm around you, tells you he loves you. I got thinking after I left Clay's, you know, Clay don't even know me. But Chris has put us in Clay's life, no matter how little we've seen him. And to me, that's one of the biggest blessings I've ever had in my life.
Amen. Yep.
For this fella to love me like I'm part of him because his daddy loved us.
Amen.
I love you, boys.
Love you.
Love you. It's my backup.
He was supposed to do all the time.
Yeah, he was. I'm Chad. I was reminded of something this week that I'm sure I blocked out of my mind. So I'm Faye's here, so good I get to ask you. Did you know my wife Chris was my wife's first boyfriend? Okay, I blocked that out. So, even more scandalous, my wife's first kiss came from Chris. So, I can see why I blocked it out, but I'm going to let it go, but I would love to rehash that with former classmates at some point in time. So, but I was sitting over there last night, and when Brother Udi started talking, the first few words he said, you know, I was like, just hair stood up on the back of my neck. And he kept talking, and I was like, that's what I was going to say. That's what I wrote down. That's what's in my mind. And he just kept going on and on. And I said, this preacher has stole my notes. And I just couldn't believe it. And it didn't bother me, but on the way home, I thought about it, and I got home, and I asked Chris's girlfriend, I said, what do you think? I said, everything that I've been thinking all week long, Brother Udi was talking about. You know, should I try to think of something else? And she absolutely said, 100% not. You know, he gave you 100% confirmation of what you're supposed to say about Chris Jenkins. So, for me, all I can think of since Thursday was friend, best friend. And that's all that's went through my mind every day. Chris Jenkins knew how to be a friend. This room proves he was an expert at it. For 20 years, this group was as close as it could get. Chris was a huge reason why we're all here today. The mistakes we made, we're always doing something stupid. It didn't matter to Chris. Chris is the one sitting there with a smile on his face going, it don't matter. We're friends. We're buddies. It doesn't matter. None of the details ever mattered to him. The only thing that mattered to Chris was friendship. And his cup was always full. I'm a pessimist. We're always on the low end. Chris always filled us up. He always had more in his cup than we all needed. He always put us first. So I'm going to tell you a specific story that I absolutely remember. And it's etched in my brain for a couple reasons. The main reason is because he would never let me forget it. But more importantly, it's to show you what kind of friend Chris Jenkins was. We're 13 years old. We're playing Little League Baseball. He's on the other opposing team, and I'm going up to bat. And here he comes out of the dugout with the biggest grin you've ever seen and the ball in his hand. Okay, there's something wrong with that. Chris is a first baseman or a second baseman. He ain't no pitcher. We all know this. So I'm standing at the plate watching him walk up, and he's just grinning, and he looks at me, and he goes, Dotson. He said, I'm going to throw it to you. He said, I want you to hit it out. I'm going to throw it right down the middle. So I'm like, all right, come on, throw it. So he winds up, and he lets that ball go, and it is the nastiest 29-mile-an-hour fastball you've ever seen. I'll swing at it twice before it gets to the catcher. And I look up, and he's standing on the mound. His mouth's wide open. He's got his hands, and he's like, what are you doing? I threw it to you. What are you doing? And I said, I can't hit that, Chris. You have to throw it faster. All right. Catcher throws the ball back. So he looks at me, you're ready, right? You're ready yet? And I think his coach, which I'm not going to say his name, was like looking at him saying, what are you doing? So he's like looking at me, I'm ready, so he throws it. I'm not within 5 feet of the ball. Can't hit it. Catcher throws it back up, and he looks at me, and Chris goes, he's like, this is it. It's number 3. It's last one, last chance you get. He's in my head at this point. I'm not going to hit this ball. So he winds up, and he lets it go. And I swear there's cobwebs on the ball. I still haven't hit it. It's 35 years ago, and I still haven't hit that ball. Couldn't do it. So I drop my head. Of course, I'm mad, and I start walking back. And this is the part I'll never forget. I'm walking back to the dugout, and he's standing on the mound, and he looks at me, and he goes, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's my fault. Why are you sorry? You did your job. So that's it. That's the kind of friend Chris was, and that's what I learned. He put us before himself. I learned to put my friends before myself, and I'll always remember. He loved us unconditionally. He was just happy to be with us all the time, and love you kids, love you Mama Faye, and it's an honor to be here today. Thank you.
I too, I never remember a time growing up that Chris Jenkins wasn't in my life. Baseball games, football games, swimming pools, trampolines, fishing, frog gigging, middle of February. There never was a time that I ever remember him not being in my life. Even after, we're, like I say, we all grew up real close, and as we grow up and we get jobs and we separate, the first time I moved to Loudon County, the first person to come check on me and my wife and our new baby was Chris. Well, he was going to patrol our street in the country and make sure that we were okay. And he'd do that. When he knew I wasn't at home, he'd swing by and just check on Julie, make sure everything was all right. I never was as good a friend to him as he was to me, but he's always been there. Chris was, he always had this physical humor. Everybody knew that. You know, if he could fall down or make somebody fall down laughing, that was what he was going to do. And he loved to heal me. You know, if he could heel kick me and make me land on my face, it didn't matter if it was in this gym or if it was in the mall or if it was on a date, that's what he was going to do. And so I was always watching for him to heal me. Well, Chris and I rode the Pine a lot our sophomore year of high school. And we were at a game, we were playing Wartburg, and it had rained. Wartburg's field didn't drain that well, and so there's all kind of, mud puddles left on the sideline. And Chris and I were over on the sideline. And my dad used to always tell me, he said, son, if you want to get in that game and play, you got to plant yourself in Chig's hip pocket, and that way every time he turns around, he sees you. He said, instead of yucking it up with Chris Jenkins all night long. Well, I guess I'd soon yuck it up with Jenkins. So we were at Wartburg, and we're standing behind the chain gang, you know, not talking about prison chain gang, the chain guys, and there's three of them there, and me and Chris stand right behind one, and Chris standing there, and he hits me with a shoulder pad, and he goes, stomps that mud puddle, mud splashes up on the back of the guy's pants, and he just gets tickled, and I was like, well, I'm in this game. So we followed them, all three of them guys, up and down the sidelines that whole first half. And we got to where it was more just, it was a, kick, and every now and then turn around and look. Well, we just having the best time. Maybe by halftime they were soaked and caked in mud. Must have been sometime before half. I think it was Ronnie Roberts caught us doing it, and Ronnie didn't think it's that funny. As I remember, I don't think he laughed a bit. I don't know what got into Ronnie, but that was just the kind of guy Chris was. Fun to be around. I'll always remember him. But the most important thing, and Chad talked about it last night, is Chris had a testimony for his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And it's because of that testimony he served with that servant's heart. And it's because of that testimony, and on Thursday morning, when his eternal soul left his body, he was in the arms of the Lord. And he's no longer in this vessel. And it's because of that that we'll all see him again. Thank y'all.
If I surveyed all the good things that come to me from above, if I could count all the blessings from the storehouse of love, I'd simply ask for the favor of Him beyond mortal man, and I'm sure He would grant it again. I want to stroll over heaven with you some glad day when all our troubles and heartaches are vanished away. Then we'll enjoy the beauty where all things are new. I want to stroll over heaven with you. So many places of beauty we long to see here below, but time and treasures have kept us from making plans, as you know. But come the morning of rapture, we'll stand together as new while I stroll over heaven with you. I want to stroll over heaven with you some glad day when all our troubles and heartaches are vanished away. We'll enjoy stroll over heaven with you some glad day when all our troubles and heartaches are vanished away. We'll enjoy all the beauty where all things are new. I want to stroll over heaven with you. I want to stroll over heaven with you.
Hard to follow. My heartfelt thanks to each of you for being here today, for the outpouring of love, well wishes, and words of condolences and encouragement that you had showered not only on the family of Sergeant Chris Jenkins, but all of us, the Loudon County Sheriff's Office. We've been amazed by the enormous amount of assistance that we have received from countless first responder agencies, friends, and businesses from all over our great state of Tennessee. From Sullivan County to Shelby County. And some of us who might be a little bit geographically challenged, that's from Bristol to Memphis. And especially from every county that surrounds us and beyond. They have come in here and taken the bull by the horn, so that we all could grieve for our fellow officer and fallen brother. From taking calls and dispatching to patrolling and answering those calls, to even operating our jail. A special thank you goes out to our neighboring brothers and sisters in the great state of North Carolina. By now you have heard many stories about Chris and what a great man he was. I just want to mention just a couple of things, what he meant to us as an agency. During his 20-year career with our family, Chris inspired his fellow officers with his strong work ethic and his positive attitude. He had a great loyalty and respect for his fellow deputies. No task, it's been said before, no task too small, and no job too big. He was a gifted K-9 handler and a respected supervisor. He led his team from the front, and he was right there with them if things broke bad. Chris and his K-9 partners, Diego and Deja, were always a big hit during community events. The children loved him. His fellow deputies loved him, and I loved him. We will all miss him beyond words. On the morning of February 3rd, 2022, Chris woke up expecting to serve the people of our county just as he has for 20 years. He never expected it to be the last day on earth. But none of us ever do. I'll remind each of us this: pause, slow down, and enjoy life while you can. Take time for your loved ones and tell them you love them each and every day. And Chris and Clay were on different shifts, but whenever they passed during shift change, they always hugged each other and said, I love you. Those of us who knew and loved Chris will never forget him and the impact he has made on his community. His legacy will live on through Clay and Chloe. Revelation 21:4 says, He shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Coping with the death of a loved one is a very unique and personal experience for each of us. But as believers, we should never lose hope that one day we will be reunited with Chris and other loved ones that have gone on before us. Don't lose faith, and I pray we can all find comfort and peace in knowing Chris is watching over us today and tomorrow. Thank you again for being here. It means so much to Chris's family, friends, and his law enforcement family.
It's been a year, Daddy. I really, really miss you. Mommy says you're safe now in a beautiful place called heaven. We had your favorite dinner tonight. There was only you and I ate it all. Even though I don't like carrots. Nothing can take you away from me. I learned how to swim this summer. Been down that road. And I could even open my eyes when I'm underwater. You may come in back from home. Can you see me? I miss you, Daddy. Baby, you're all that I want. And you're lying here in my arms. Finding it hard to believe we're in heaven. It's been 5 years, Daddy. Love is all that I need. I'm in 5th grade now. I really like computers. It isn't too hard to see. But math is hard. Mommy lets me sleep in one of your t-shirts. Oh, once in your life, find someone. I think it still smells like you. We'll turn your world around. I don't need to sleep with the light on anymore. Pick you up when you're feeling down. I'm trying not to cry, Daddy, but it still hurts. Nothing can change what you mean to me. I really miss you, Daddy. There's a love that I could say. Just hold me now. Can you see me? Can you see me? There's a love we'll light the way. It's been 10 years, Daddy. Baby, you're all that I want. I started high school. You're lying here in my arms. I made the honor roll. Finding it hard to believe. I hope you're proud of me. I'm also on the soccer team. Love is all that I need. Can you see me on the field? It isn't too hard to see. I've started thinking about colleges. Do you think I can be a doctor? Now our dreams are coming true. to be sad. Baby, you're all that I want. But it hurts. See you lying here in my arms, finding it hard to believe we're in heaven. I hope you know you're my hero. Love is all that I need, and I found it there in your heart. It isn't too hard to see we're in heaven. I love you so much. Can you see me? Can you see me? I miss you, Daddy. I miss you, Daddy.
He was a giant, and I was just a kid. I was always trying to do everything he did. I can still remember every lesson he taught me. Growing up, learning how to be like my old man. He was a lion. We were a father's pride, but I was defiant when he made me walk the line. He knew how to lift me up and when to let me fall. Looking back, he always had a plan. My old man. My old man, feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls. My old man, now I finally understand. I have a lot to learn from my old man. Now I'm a giant, got a son of my own. He's always trying to go everywhere I go. Do the best I can to raise him up the right way, hoping that he someday wants to be like his old man. Trying to fill the boots of my old man.
the old timers use paper, I'll use technology. The song you just listened to Wednesday night, I was on my way home to go out to service. Before Thursday morning, if I'd ever see my dad again, that was the last song I ever heard. First things first, thank you to everyone here isn't enough. I hope I've come close to hugging every single one of you here, and if not, after this is over, please come find me and I will. I know this is exactly what my dad would have wanted. There are so many things I want to say, but I won't take too long. I've received literally thousands of messages, friend requests, and condolences, in which I'm all thankful for. I wish I could personally thank everyone, but it'd be impossible. Having a dad in law enforcement, ever since I was young, and before I signed up to do what I love doing, I planned this very day out in my head over and over again, hoping it would never happen, or at least be somewhat be prepared. I wasn't prepared for how much this hurts. This is by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do in the short 25 years of my life. In those 25 years, though, I had the best daddy a boy could ever imagine of having. Some people have heroes that they look up to. Some people's heroes may wear capes or outfits. But mine had a 7-star badge over his heart on his uniform. He even had 3 stripes on each sleeve. Dad, you were and still are Superman. But Superman is tired, and he's just a little rest. I'll take care of the rest of the race of life. I hope if anything is taken away from today, is that you make sure you hug your loved ones tight and always tell them you love them. As we all know, tomorrow is never promised. There are a few things that my dad has taught me over the years that I will always live by and hold close to my heart. Nothing in this life is fair or free, as nothing will ever be given to you. The only thing that you have is your name and your reputation. Son, don't ruin it. Do as I say and not as I do. Only a few will truly understand those words. Before I would leave the house and at shift change, he'd always tell me to act like somebody, be careful, and he loved me. To the 6 pallbearers that were chosen. Paul, above all things that you were to my dad, one of his best friends is the best in my book. He trusted you as he said you were one of the smartest people he has ever met. He wanted to make you proud, and I think he did. He loves you as I love you. Chief Arden. Some of my best memories are coming to the office every Thursday so Dad could pick his checkup out of his box. But the first place we went to afterwards was your corner office. There me and Dad could get a piece of bubble gum out of the Dale Jr. jar you had on your desk. I even loved when you'd reach for your wallet and give me a crisp $5 bill. Dad would just grin and shake his head. You were never too busy for a conversation for my dad or me. He loves Chief Badass Tony Arden as I love you. Chance. He looked at you as one of his own, and he was so proud of who you have become. You're a solid big brother that's always taken care of me. Thank you for that. You should have seen the stress he was under, trying to make sure that you got core and you were taken care of. He loves you as I love you. Hatch. You will still take the blame for the things he did to get the heat off of his back. But now it'll be from me. Before I started here, you were trusted with taking care of me for a reason, and it still hasn't changed. He loves you as I love you. Shane. or as I sometimes have to refer to you as my fun Uncle Shane. As much as I would call you and to tell you the sticky situations I find myself in before I have to call and face the music to Dad, sometimes you'll be the one to set me straight, even though the laugh was harder from you on the second call, hearing his response. You're not done taking care of either one of us. I confide in you just as Dad did. You were always somebody he could trust. Just like old times now, our conversations will be on the ramp, hanging over the balcony. I can still picture you two doing it. It also might have to be at a tattoo shop, since that's where you and Dad had to take me. I'm sure I'll still screw up some paperwork, but no, he's in heaven giggling at you. I love you as he loves you. I don't see Mikey. Mikey, I can't help but think of how hard Tuesdays are going to be from here on out. But they will get better. When you ask, Jenkins, where do you want to eat today? I'll always respond, and it don't matter to me. I'll try not to give you as much gray hair as he did, but I think it's already a little bit too late for that, as I've already made my contributions. I've also changed my ringtone to that god-awful sound we would hear. But we knew it was Christy, and we all could say, "Hey, babe," at the same time. If Dad didn't have the answer, he'd always shrug his shoulders and say, "Call Mikey." You will always find yourself taking care of a Jenkins, even if you have to say a few cuss words in front of my name. Paul's already said, "Damn it, Jenkins," but I had "Dang it, Jenkins," because that was going to suffice for today. But I wear it proudly. Just like you said last Tuesday, talking to Shane. Who's that sound like? As me and Dad had the same grin, acting like we didn't know a thing. Thank you for being so good to my dad. I love you as he loves you. To my LCSO family, lean on me, and I'll lean on you. In a time where division seems at its highest, we'll use this time to become a family that's needed to be for some time now. Me and Dad would always talk about how special this place was and what our goals were. He was going to be 902. I was going to be 901. To my close friends and family, I know with the pain you're going through, it's not easy to understand, and I don't expect you to understand. But wearing this uniform is the most honorable thing I've ever done in my life. I will continue to do so in honor of Jason and Dad. Dad always told me I would never do it, but I knew very early on I would. Even when he said no, I couldn't help but follow the best footsteps I could follow. I had to do everything that Daddy done because I had to grow up to be like my hero. I just always wanted to make him proud. To the people that know me best, I can never turn it off. Even when I'm off work, I'm at work. I will continue to wear this uniform with pride, strength, courage, and honor. Those were Dad's best qualities. Mama, Christy, Sally, and Chloe. You were all his girls. Not one more important than the other. I will care for you and watch over you as he would want me to do. I will gladly take that job. Andy, I don't know where you're at, but please listen to me. I can't thank you enough for the conversation we had in the short amount of time we've had together. Dad wouldn't want it any other way. Seeing you and hugging you is just like hugging the Mexican version of him. I can't wait to hear the true stories for our one-on-one time. Houston PD has a good one in you, as well as the great father of your boys. I'm forever thankful, and I love you as he loves you. To the rest of my family, I can't wait to jump in his arms again when I get to heaven. We all have been given a number by God. His was just called a little bit earlier than ours. I don't make promises I can't keep, so I can make you a promise on this. You will never meet a young man that will work as hard as me. I want you all to look at me and see the walking image of my dad. I've been called Chris my whole life, and I've thought it was an honor. I've lost my best friend. I've lost my future best man at my wedding. I've lost my kid's future papa. I've lost my daddy. I do miss him, but we will all see him again. I hope there's a Crown Vic in heaven with him driving it, Jason riding shotgun, and Diego in the back. There won't be any more calls that I'll go in service and I'm running traffic to, just because I'm trying to beat you there. Central, if you don't care, show 904 just a little 10-6 for now. When I come back to work, hopefully in a few days, I'll put 904 back in service. And it will stay in service until I don't have a pulse any longer. I'll carry the legacy with honor. Until we meet again, my old man, I love you. Thank you.
Let us pray. Most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer with thanksgiving in our heart. We are thankful when we cried out to you in these days to come and comfort us. You came. Lord, I am also thankful for being able to call Chris a friend. And all of us that have had him in our life, Lord, we are better because of him. And Lord, I'm most importantly thankful of his testimony and faith, and that we know that he is with you. But Lord, we also come to you with the petition, Lord, to continue to give us strength. Lord, we need superhuman strength. We need your strength. We need your comfort to come down upon us. Lord, I pray right now for this sweet family. I pray for Miss Faye and the family, Lord. I pray that you would just comfort them, put a hedge of protection around them that only you can. Lord, I pray for our first responder community. I pray for Loudon County. Lord, we have a void now in our heart. And Lord, I pray that that void would be filled with your Spirit, and that we will be able to move forward and heal one step at a time, one day at a time. And Lord, may we always remember each and every morning to armor up in your name. Amen.
This concludes the memorial service for Sergeant Chris Jenkins. Law enforcement agencies are encouraged to join the family at Loudon County Memorial Garden Cemetery for the burial and full police honors of Sergeant Chris Jenkins. Directly following the burial service, Sergeant Jenkins' family has requested everyone's presence at an appreciation luncheon that will be held here at the Loudon High School cafeteria. That's our way of telling you that Miss Faye has a plan to hug each and every one of you. So you need to be there. Also at this time, we are asking for a certain rundown in the way we dismiss to help us with the plans that we have following this. All canine officers that are participating in the ceremony at the Justice Center, we're asking all canine officers to please proceed to their vehicles and follow a motor escort to the intersection of Highway 11 and Sugar Limb Road for parking instructions. We ask that you please do this quickly. Meanwhile, we're going to play some more music that's been requested by the family. Shortly, we will be asking out-of-county agencies to proceed to their vehicles. They will also have a motor escort that will take them to their location at the cemetery. I will let you know when this needs to happen. Thank you.
Turn it out. Seen that? I won't be round this old town. It's more for a long, long time. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. Well, I woke up, my baby was gone. Without her, don't need no home. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. Gonna hit the road, start looking for the end of that long white line. Went to the bank in my door. I don't care where I go. Gonna push that rig till I push that girl out of my mind. If somebody wants to know what's become of this so-and-so, tell them I'm somewhere looking for the end of that long white line. Tell them I'm somewhere looking for the end of that long white line.
At this time, we would ask that all out-of-county law enforcement agencies, as well as our family members, spouses of law enforcement officers that are in private vehicles, if you would please also proceed to Memorial Gardens. Again, we do politely ask that you do this quickly.
At this time, if all of Loudon County Sheriff's Office will exit to the front of the school, please. At this time, if everyone outside of the family will please exit to your vehicles. Thank you.
And you are watching live now that memorial service for Sergeant Chris Jenkins, just wrapping up there at Loudon High School. What you're looking at now is a part of the procession route where people are lining up with American flags. This is the way for the public to pay tribute to Sergeant Jenkins.
Yeah, we heard from quite a few people speak. The governor, Bill Lee, there. We heard from the sheriff as well, but hearing from his son, just heartbreaking to hear that. Hearing from his friends all the way back from the high school days, and it's pretty remarkable that Sergeant Chris Jenkins, a 1992 graduate of Loudon High School, he went off to the Air Force but never left the area, came back and worked here, raised his family here, his son now working for the Loudon County Sheriff's Department, and hearing him talk about all the things he's experienced is pretty remarkable just in the last couple of days. We do want to show you this as different cruisers leaving from the high school headed on the route.
And that route will leave from the high school. It will then go down Highway 11, then over the Lee Highway Bridge, that's over the Tennessee River, then onto the Memorial Gardens. And there will be a transfer over to the horses, the Cason unit from North Carolina.
Yeah, the North Carolina Troopers Association Cason unit as well. Once they get there to the Justice Center, we'll also see all of the other K-9 officers that are in attendance. You heard them get dismissed first to head out there and get set up. A bunch of other things set to go once they make it to the Memorial Gardens in Lenoir City. A 21-gun salute, taps, pipes, drums, as well as a flyover. Metro Nashville PD will be a part of the service, as well as Shelby County, KCSO, Lifestar, THP, all as part of the flyover. I loved what Sheriff Tim Guider said, talking about Sullivan County, Shelby County, and for those who don't know, from Bristol all the way to Memphis, of the different amount of agencies all across the volunteer state that have come together to show their support for their brothers and sisters over there at the Loudon County Sheriff's Office. Kind of dropping everything they could. Even the sheriff talked about them filling roles at the jail and taking on other jobs to allow different officers at Loudon County Sheriff's Office to attend this funeral and be a part of today's services.
Yeah, there's a lot of people stepping in to make sure they're able to honor their coworker, their friend, and for some, their family member. Now, we are out. This is at the part of the route there. We also do want to take you out to our Ashley Boley. And Ashley, can you hear us out there? And you were on Lee Highway there. Hey, Ashley. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we just wanted to see what you're seeing out there. You can see some of the patrol cars coming through. What have you seen so far?
Yeah, I'm actually going to just step behind the camera so that way you guys, I can kind of narrate what all we're seeing. But yeah, we are starting to see some of the different sheriff's office vehicles come through, some different cars starting to come through. We've got people standing over here with American flags, just to give you a view of that, as well as some back the blue flags as well. We've got other people standing with some smaller American flags also. They have cleared off this road. We saw probably about 30 to 40 minutes before that memorial service ended, we were seeing different police officers just make sure that nobody is on this road. This is part of Highway 11 in downtown Loudon. We're just right across the street from the courthouse, actually. So we are waiting just to see, just like everybody else. We've got a lot of people standing. This crowd has grown considerably. I'm going to show you on the other side now as well. We have a really good shot over here. This is the Loudon Fire Department. They put up this nice large American flag, and they are all out waiting to pay their respects. Some back the blue flags, people, kids, all different people of all different ages, just out here really ready just to say thank you and appreciating everything these first responders do for us to keep us safe. So we're just kind of keeping an eye and following that right now. A lot of these people have been here for just a couple hours now, just, you know, waiting and talking and getting to know each other, and kind of, you know, going through this challenging time together. So this is just where we're following, waiting for the procession to continue. We've seen some cars come through and are waiting for more at this time. So we'll continue to follow it. I've talked with some families out here today, and some of them telling me just how thankful and appreciative they are for our law enforcement officers. And of course, also talking with people that have known his family, and just say how great of a guy Chris was as well. So we'll continue to keep you posted as we are waiting for more cars to come through. Harry and Casey.
Our Ashley Boley reporting for us there in downtown Loudon. Ashley, thank you. I want to take you back. What you're seeing now is a photo of Sergeant Chris Jenkins, who's being memorialized today and honored today. And Ashley was talking about how some of the people out there who knew Chris saying how wonderful he was. And we heard a lot of that during that ceremony as well. We heard one of his fellow deputies talk about the first time they went to go pick up his very first K-9 dog. They went to Atlanta and Sergeant Jenkins let the dog out of the cage too early. So there were, they kind of just spurred stories from there, and they shared a lot of really great memories that they've had. You could see the impact that he had on this entire department in this community.
Yeah, graduate 1992 of Loudon High School, and hearing from his friends who said they don't know a life without knowing Chris Jenkins. From the time they said they could walk, they all knew each other, and all those guys just living in the area as well. One of them talking about how when he was away from home out in the country in Loudon County, that Sergeant Jenkins would travel and go check on his wife, make sure everything was okay when Sergeant Jenkins was on patrol and out and about and taking care of his friends, taking care of the community, and of course that's what he was doing when he died in the line of duty. So many great stories that we heard, especially from the sheriff and from his son. Really, even seen from the crowd, we saw a few glimpses of folks, and not a dry eye in the place, and hard to imagine there wouldn't be one, just with the amount of stories we heard about the man that Sergeant Jenkins was.
And what you're looking at now is the procession about to begin. And now they will go from the Loudon County High School, where that memorial service took place, and they will eventually make their way through downtown Loudon and then to the Memorial Gardens graveside. And one of those areas they will pass is that Lee Highway Bridge that goes over the Tennessee River, and you saw there from our Ashley Boley where that flag is flying high. First responders there taking part in this procession that is about to start any minute now. Right now, they said that the Loudon County High School parking lot was pretty full, so there are law enforcement officers from all over the area. You can see here that procession is starting as those cruisers are filing out of the parking lot, and this is just probably the very beginning of what we're going to see. When they escorted his body from Knox County to Loudon County, there were over 300 police cruisers from all over East Tennessee, even into other states that were involved in this.
In these first couple of cruisers, or a couple hundred even possibly, that you'll see move by with trucks and different things like that, all from different departments across the state, across the country, especially across the region here in East Tennessee, that have come through to help in this and to honor the life and sacrifice and service of Sergeant Chris Jenkins. Those out-of-town agencies will move through first. The first ones really with the K-9 units that'll be set up at the Justice Center that we'll see once they take Sergeant Jenkins and his casket and put it onto the caisson unit. Those K-9 officers will be there at attention. Everyone else behind them will be the out-of-town deputies and officers that are in town. After that will be the rest of the Loudon County Police Department. Once they get to the caisson unit, everyone else will proceed on foot. So we'll see his family as well, his son who we heard speak. Everyone else will be there.
His son Clay, who is also a deputy at LCSO, talked at the very end of the memorial and said that every day his dad would say to him, "Act like somebody, be careful, and I love you." He said that he's going to lean on his LCSO family, and he hopes that they lean on him as well. He says that he's going to jump into his dad's arms as soon as he gets to heaven.
And we heard so much just thanks coming from Sheriff Guider to everyone that's reached out. I mean, with it's pretty remarkable to have all of these agencies come and fill slots at the jail to monitor that and to work on that and to let all these officers and deputies and sergeants and just get out and go be with their family, their Loudon County Sheriff's Office family, and be at this service. As you can see them still standing by at attention. Obviously a private moment inside Loudon High School where the family of Sergeant Jenkins is still inside. Everyone else has been dismissed to go outside and start lining up around on the route.
And Governor Bill Lee is there in person as well. He spoke at the beginning of the memorial service, and one of the things that kind of struck me is that he said that an overused phrase for law enforcement officers all over the country is that they lay their life on the line. People use that so often they don't really understand. Think about what that means for a minute, and think about this is exactly what Sergeant Chris Jenkins was doing last Thursday when he tried to get that ladder off the interstate, and he was trying to keep people safe and trying to save people's lives. And Governor Bill Lee, they're just talking about how important it is to remember the sacrifice that our law enforcement officers make every single day to keep all of us safe. We heard from, of course, Governor Bill Lee, but we also heard from so many of his friends who are also his co-workers, his co-deputies, co-sergeants. And really, the sheriff there, Tim Guider, he said he was amazed by all the assistance that this department has received since that tragic day about a week ago, last Thursday.
Yeah, pretty incredible show of support, as we can see all the officers and deputies with the Loudon County Sheriff's Office starting to stand at attention.
And so far, we're talking about all the law enforcement agencies that are a part of this. Here is where the procession will start as it comes through. And what you're seeing now is that procession coming through downtown area of Loudon, and we're told Sevier, Jefferson, Cock, Blount, all those counties now coming through to show support of their fellow law enforcement agencies within East Tennessee.
And just another reminder that Highway 11, all of this area through Lenoir City and Loudon will be shut down, as well as all the access streets. So if that's going to be an issue for you or someone you know, just keep that in mind. As these American flags draped over Highway 11, just an incredible view. And one of the things that his son said was, I wasn't prepared for how much this hurts. This is the hardest thing I've had to do in my life. And just 25 years old, and his dad, 48 years old, was Sergeant Chris Jenkins. Hearing about how he would leave every single day and give hugs and do things like that before they went out on their shift. Just incredible things to hear from his son and from the family with Sergeant Jenkins.
His son also said that he was talking to the crowd, and he said, I want you all to look at me and see a walking image of him. And that it was very powerful words coming from him. He said that he always thought about a day like this, but nothing prepared him for how much this hurts. So we're taking a look at a couple different angles of this procession, as we do have cameras at every corner trying to give you the best look that you can. You can see people are surrounded on downtown area, and you can see a couple here in this shot right here as well, but they are really surrounded all over the area. This is Highway 11. You can see as crews are coming through. Now we are also waiting to see. Yes, okay, so this is Sugar Limb Road and Highway 11 there.
Yeah, as we see back at Loudon County High School, we still have waiting for that procession to start, and we even have Ashley Boley, other reporters, out and about on Highway 11 as things start to get underway. We do have Jared Austin out and about. Our Gwendolyn Dupree will join us in just a little bit as well.
Taking a live look now, you can see this is Loudon High School. The procession has already stepped off because there are so many law enforcement officers involved. It will take a while for the hearse and the family then to move out of the parking lot and be on their way through Loudon.
Here's another shot of some of those officers and agencies. You can see with Knoxville Police as well, there on the side of the road at Sugar Limb.
And Highway 11.
And Highway 11.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first route as you come through. Then it'll take you, the procession will take you over the Lee Highway Bridge, which crosses over the Tennessee River, and then into Memorial Gardens Graveside Service, where there will be a service with the 21-gun salute, as well as full police honors. He was also former military as well, so full honors at this funeral here in the burial that's about to happen.
An Air Force veteran, spent 20 years with the Loudon County Sheriff's Office. His son, Clay Jenkins, a deputy with the Loudon County Sheriff's Office. He also had a daughter named Chloe, his fiancee Christy. And one of the other things I found fascinating, just to show the Jenkins family's impact on Loudon County, is we even heard them talk about a meal that will be served later for those deputies and for those officers from Sergeant Jenkins' mother, Faye, saying, Faye wants to feed you. That means you got to come. You need to be here and give her a hug. And it's just incredible to see the support and just how big of a family Loudon County is, and especially the Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, that Loudon County gymnasium was full, and I know it was full last night as well, as they had a private service for law enforcement, family, and friends only yesterday, as well as a visitation. But people said that they were waiting outside for hours to say hello to the family and to just give a hug. And this is a very close-knit family as well, and they talked about how they wanted to hug every single person in there. So here's the procession here coming downtown Loudon. This is where people, our Ashley Boley told us people had been out there for hours lined up, American flags, to show their support.
You can just see how many more people have come just in the last 10, 15 minutes or so. More American flags lining both both sides of the street, the sidewalk, people standing in the street as well, just wishing farewell and praying for the family as well.
And it is past school time now, but they did close Loudon County schools today because of this memorial service happening. So it gave the opportunities for families to come out, and you see some of that happening. You see some children as well as just families and law enforcement agencies, first responders also out here as well. There are blue ribbons that have been tied all around the community on mailboxes, lampposts, all over Loudon and Lenoir City to show respect and show support for LCSO.
And just a little reminder of what's going to happen once this makes it to Memorial Gardens. A 21-gun salute, taps, pipes, drums, a flyover. We talked about his service with the Air Force. Casey did a full burial with full military honors is happening. Metro Nashville PD, Shelby County, KCSO, Lifestar, THP, so many more agencies from Northeast Tennessee all the way out West Tennessee will be here in Knoxville, as well as officers from all over the country. You heard Chris Jenkins' son talk about Houston Police Department and friends that he had there that were like family to the entire Jenkins family.
And there are law enforcement in Loudon as well that are taking over the patrols for LCSO so that all their deputies and everyone involved is able to be here today to honor their friend.
This is the backside look at that procession. We're still waiting for everything to fully kick off and fully step off. As you can see, some of those K-9 officers standing out the side. This is actually at the Justice Center where they will make the switch to the caisson and walk the remainder of the way. They said it was about a quarter mile once you get down, or excuse me, about a half mile the rest of the way to Memorial Gardens. And really one of the things that's remarkable is you heard from some of the other K-9 sheriffs and K-9 officers in that funeral and that memorial service, and just remarkable to hear about the connection they have to their K-9 officers and kind of with each other, that brotherhood, that sisterhood that bonds everyone with having a K-9 officer as one of being a handler as one, and some of the stories they had was pretty remarkable.
I'm going to take you actually back out there as they were zooming out that camera. You can just see how many people are there. You know, people have been lined up for hours waiting for this procession to come through. Unfortunately, they can't fit everybody inside the gymnasium for the memorial service, so they kept that private or they kept that to family and friends, allowed us to stream it for you all at home. And then you can see you were invited, communities invited here to come out and pay their respects by standing on the side of the road during the procession. And that procession now well underway in downtown Loudon. You can see the police cruisers coming through. Hundreds of them, not an exact number at this point, but we do know that there are hundreds of them involved in this procession, and there are hundreds of people standing alongside there wanting to pay their respects to Sergeant Chris Jenkins.
Sergeant Hutchins, one of his partners that was a K-9 handler, talked about there was no job too small, no task too menial for Sergeant Jenkins. Just the man that he was, almost larger than life in what some of the ways that they talked about him, that his son and other members of the department talked about Sergeant Jenkins and the way he walked every single day. And really, the small things is what they honed in on, of the way he would say hello or the way he'd answer the phone when his fiance talked. Some of the things that they'll miss the most about when they go back to work on Monday and even right now without their friend Sergeant Jenkins.
Taking you back out to Loudon County High School, you can see the family, and hers has not left just yet, because you can see just how many patrol cars need to get out of that parking lot to continue this procession on. And it's starting from the Loudon High School gym, out of the parking lot, downtown Loudon, then through the Justice Center where that memorial has been growing there. Where his K-9 has been placed, flowers, all sorts of things. in that area. So you can see this is going through Loudon, downtown Loudon, hundreds and hundreds of police cruisers. We know for sure from Knox, Blount, Jefferson, Cott counties, even into North Carolina as well. And you're taking a live look at downtown Loudon as hundreds of police cruisers and law enforcement are coming through the downtown area. This is just still the beginning section of that procession where there are hundreds and hundreds of cars that will be a part of this.
You can, I mean, it is remarkable to see how many different agencies we've seen just travel down this line that keeps on going, and we do want to check in. Our Jared Austin is also live out there this afternoon with a bunch of other reporters. He's been out for the better part of this afternoon seeing all these officers line up. We do want to send things out to him with the latest on what he's seeing. Jared?
Line up on the right side of the road of Highway 11. We've seen several county crews just from East Tennessee to Middle Tennessee out here, and of course not here as well, but I'm going to just step off camera just so you at home can see. Another thing we've also seen out here is actually some canine units brought their dogs out here a little bit earlier to get the... Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Sorry, Jared, we're going to come back to you in just a minute. We're having some issue trying to get to your audio, but taking you back out here to part of the procession, that's kind of the back end of the procession as people are getting ready to get in their cars. But this kind of just shows you how big it is, taking a look at downtown Loudon County there.
We've seen that line stretch for a while now, finally seeing the end of it a little bit, and this is all where they're all heading to the Justice Center and as well as Memorial Gardens. As you see so many people lining the streets. We saw as well so many people lining the streets where Jared Austin was at the Justice Center. Still waiting here at Loudon High School. We're waiting for the hearse to take off in that procession to officially get underway with Sergeant Jenkins. His whole life spent in Loudon County, a 1992 graduate of Loudon High School, an Air Force veteran, the rest of his family living there. His son, Clay Jenkins, with the Loudon County Sheriff's Office, his daughter, Chloe, his fiancee, Christy.
And they'll all be following along in this procession as it eventually will go to the Memorial Gardens graveside service location. And we will also be taking you there as soon as the procession carries on there. And also part of the procession, first responders, you just saw a fire truck drive by as well. So like I said, hundreds involved in this procession. You can see it's kind of in sections as well because it is there are so many involved that it's difficult to get them all going at the same time. And so we heard from a lot of Sergeant Jenkins' family members. We heard from his colleagues, fellow deputies, and members of LCSO during that memorial service. And some of the most powerful moments came from his son Clay Jenkins, who is also a deputy there at LCSO. And he said that every day that he would leave or see his dad in the morning, his dad would hug him and say, "Act like somebody, be careful, I love you." And he said that Clay said that he cannot wait to jump into his dad's arms the moment that he gets to heaven. He said that he wants everyone to look at him and see a walking image of his dad. He says his whole life he's been called Chris, and for him that's an honor, even more so today.
I also loved one of the things he talked about that I think speaks to being a canine officer and a canine handler is that his previous dog, Diego, was
he was one of his first canine.
dogs, and talked about some of the stories that they talked about from back when they went and picked him up. But I loved just that dog has passed away, and him talking about Diego's in the back seat of that Crown Victoria up in heaven that they're driving around in. Some pretty remarkable stories that we heard from earlier today.
Yeah, a little bit of humor there mixed in, just showed you what a likable guy that he was, and all those stories. Loved hearing those stories from his friends there, and it just really showed you the incredible impact that he had on LCSO, but his family as well as the entire East Tennessee community. He also, he's a graduate, so that ceremony happening in the same halls that he used to roam a few years ago.
Pretty remarkable stuff. We do want to get back out now to our Jared Austin, who joins us live. He's been out with our team of reporters following the procession as it's about to get underway. Jared?
Well, Harry, again, we're just out here at the Justice Center. We've seen several police and sheriff's offices from different parts of East Tennessee out here just lined up waiting for Sergeant Jenkins to come through this area here. I'll just step off camera so you can see some of them. We've seen, obviously, Sevierville police is in front of us, Knoxville police is in front of us. We've seen Blount County, Anderson County, Sullivan County, Cott County, just all lined up on the right side of the street here. Now, if we go over to the left side here, you'll just see just dozens of people lined up waiting for Sergeant Jenkins to come by this area as well. People have been really just gathering out here since early this afternoon, just waiting for the sergeant to come by. We also see several different law enforcement groups out here. I know it's behind us. I'll just kind of describe it to you. I would say just dozens upon dozens of people just from different law enforcement groups out here just in front of the Justice Center as well, just waiting for Sergeant Jenkins to come by. And I know you at home won't be able to see it, but I will tell you what's kind of behind us. The Greenback Fire Department has a flag hanging high in the air over Highway 11. They did something very similar for the procession on Friday, and so they are back out here again today, just over Highway 11, waiting for Sergeant Jenkins' body to come by again today. But as you can see on the right side of your screen, if you just pan over that way, this is the K-Sign unit coming from North Carolina. They'll be the ones that will be transporting his body from the Justice Center over to the gravesite today. It is a horse-drawn carriage. They say that they've done 11 missions last year, and this is something they normally do for first responders who die in the line of duty. So it's a very special moment when this happens for somebody out here. But Harry, Casey, people have just really been gathering out here for several hours now, just waiting for Sergeant Jenkins to come by and just pay the respects for the fallen sergeant.
All right, Jared Austin, thank you, reporting for us live this afternoon, and we will come back to you when it is time to make that switch to where you are, though. Taking you back out to Loudon County High School. You can see that procession is well underway, and it is still going. Hundreds of cars now on the roads out there throughout Highway 11, and you're seeing here the Hearst Loudon County High School Gymnasium where that memorial service was held. It wrapped up about 2:45. So it was about an hour and a half of stories and memories and just really memorable performances, and you just heard so much, and you don't even have to know Sergeant Chris Jenkins to know what kind of person he was or what kind of impact he had based off of that.
And seeing some of the pictures they showed up there with his younger son and daughter and everything, that just with the other deputies and other officers, that you saw the tears in there from what looked to be the hardest veterans of the sheriff's office to everyone in there. There was not a dry eye in that place.
Now, we do want to get another look at the scene out near the highway bridge that goes over the Tennessee River. Ashley Boley is out there live. And Ashley, I know you've been out there for a few hours. You said there's people that have really started to line up there as that procession gets to you. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Casey, we have seen a growing crowd out here today. And like Jared was mentioning, so many sheriff's deputies, police department vehicles coming through here as the procession began. I was trying to count and I couldn't keep up because every time I'd see Monroe County or TWRA or another law enforcement agency just popping up really to show their support. And I think that has just meant the world to so many people here today, being able to view that. I'm actually going to show you a little bit behind me. So give me just a second as I step out of the way to show you what all I'm seeing right here, right now. You've got people with Back the Blue flags. You've got families, you've got children, you've got people young and old just coming out here. And of course, that big flag you see hanging up from the city of Loudon, their fire department. They have that, and they set that up a couple hours ago. They're firefighters in their uniforms, knowing, what it's like to be a first responder. Some people out on the bridge as well. We've just seen people, it's been kind of a quiet, somber scene out here today, something that